Laura leads the reintroduction of the Fiat brand in North America. Let me just say, I've had the privilege of seeing, as the Consul General has said, the new Fiat. It is not your old Fiat. It is not what was. This is cutting edge, and this is an incredible machine. I've had the privilege of having it just outside the Italian American Museum, where some photographs were taken recently, and been up close and personal. I think you're going to be very, very impressed, and I think it's going to make an incredible impact. And I think she's going to make it. She's from Waltz College. The Italian American Museum is thrilled, honored, pleased, and proud to present you with La Bellissima America Award. Laura, if you come to the podium, I'll go and carry this run for you.
But I am honored. I'm truly, truly honored to be here tonight. And it was very interesting because when Joe actually called me to tell me about this, I was shocked and surprised because I come in, what's very interesting about this award is this is my family. I mean, I come from a very humble background. My parents immigrated here from Italy, and they were teenagers. And they met here in America, so that's a long story that I'll have with each of you, over wine later. But they came here for a better life, and my father specifically came as a single boy. He was 17 years old. His father had passed away at 3 years old, so he was, what you would consider a scrappy young man. And this is the epitome of the family. They came here for a better world, and I didn't realize that growing up. What's interesting, growing up, I had a very different experience because my parents spoke very broken English. Neither of them had gone to college. And I didn't quite fit in the American school systems. My clothes were different because my mom, of course, had them brought over from Italy. My shoes were different. We cooked different food. So my lunch was very different than the peanut butter and jelly that the other kids had. Sunday, you could go anywhere on Sunday, you could come home on Sunday, and your friends could come over, and they could sit around the table for hours, and none was there, so you had to be home. And I didn't appreciate that growing up. And tonight, it's funny, I look at Gina and her two kids, and I wonder if they're thinking, oh, geez, we have to go to this other event.
Oh, yeah.
Again, because this was me. I was dragged to one event after another. I started kindergarten only speaking Italian, and so, that was difficult. Every summer, we'd go back to Italy. And after a while, when my sister and I were older, we wanted to go to Disney World. We didn't want to go to Italy anymore. And it's ironic because I didn't realize all those years, the experiences that I were getting there that are invaluable. I sound very impressive. I have a great resume. I've had an amazing career. First, went to graduate from college on either parent's side, and then went on to get my master's degree again. I've been very fortunate here in America, but none of that could have taught me what is helping me today with bringing the Fiat brand back. So anyway, and again, all of the, the education and stuff, it's great in the business world and it helps me compete there, but what it didn't bring me was this experience of bringing an Italian brand back to America after almost 30 years and doing it right and doing it correctly. And it's very interesting because many people ask about my boss, Mr. Marchione, who's a very interesting and successful leader himself. And to be honest, a huge role model for me. And what's interesting is when I interviewed for this position, I interviewed out of curiosity because I wanted to meet the man that was in the papers that had decided to take Chrysler, where everybody had written them off and said there was no way in hell that they were going to survive. And he was going to take the risk and turn this company around, which he has obviously done so brilliantly. But anyway, I took the interview because I was curious to meet him, and we really got to know one another, and it was ironic because he said to me, I can't bring an Italian over to understand American culture, and I can't get an American who understands what they need to protect of the Italian brand that we have in Fiat and the history. that America's a very young country, and what we do have as Italians is deep, deep roots. And what is very amazing to me is that from the day I took this job, which it's been about 13 months now, and I haven't had about a day off, I get so many phone calls from people like you in this room. No matter where I am, there's a support system. The number of even consumers who said, we're not going to let Fiat fail this time. We're behind you. Councils all over the country. Just people that come out because they have stories. This is a country where people came and they have stories and they have pride. And again, I'm very honored. I'm very, very honored to be a part of that and to be recognized for this. I went to the museum today. I had not had an opportunity to go. And you know, another funny little story, growing up, my mom used to have La Madonna would come to the house. And for a week at a time, remember? I see everybody shaking their head. Remember, the women would come over and they would say the rosary. And I'm thinking, my friends' moms don't have this statue showing up. What is going on? And, you know, and it's just so amazing because, again, it keeps people together. It helps us get through bad times. You know that no matter what, there's a support system out there. So, again, I think for Gina's girls, you never know where this trail will take you, and your history and your culture will take you. So, but it will take you on an amazing journey no matter what. So, thank you very much, all of you, for coming, and have a great evening.
Well, I know for 30 years. I mean, and I've watched her career. I'm going to read you a resume, but I know it. But, it's a very personal. It's a very personal pleasure for me to be able to award Gina BIANCARDI this evening. Without reading all of this, just saying that she. She wants you not to read all this, but she's passionate about what she does. When she was a student in 1984 at Lehman College, it takes an awful lot to get a bunch of students together and to stay together at a university. There's a million different things that are pulling them from place to place. And she placed as a priority the establishment of the Italian club at the college, at Lehman College. But in addition to that, she had a bigger vision. She was also involved in Fieri National, which became Fieri National, which was the creation of, Gina's one of the founding mothers of that organization as well. And today, I'm pleased and proud to say I was never young enough to be a member of Fieri. Well, I'm sorry, Gina. We get older. But the whole idea behind Fieri was, and it's a wonderful idea that John Cavelli and Gina and Lou Cavelli and others had, was that it would be a place on the campuses, something like B'nai B'rith, something like similar to on the campuses of the universities throughout the United States. Hillel was what I was thinking of, where Italian American young people would find a support network, and really it's most important. Some of the early days when when I was working with Gina, I would see her work with the students. I would see her organize activities. She had leadership skills from the very, very beginning. To have taken those leadership skills and then applied them even further to the work that she did with College Bound was no big jump for her, because it just made a lot of sense. She's been very passionate about the need for education for all young people, but especially for Italian Americans. And she has managed to actualize that dream in so many ways. The birth of College Bound, first as a periodical, and then as an internet.com, which became so successful, was really through the energy and tenacity of Gina. And then, of course, now, her latest endeavor, which is You know it's going to be a success because Gina's doing it. People have asked me to make the announcement. Gina and I have been working on doing some more activities together between the Italian American Museum and Casa Belvedere, and they will be coming. It's a process that takes some time, but there will be more activities that will take place. I envision that there will be a network across the United States of various different cultural institutions that will be able to house and expose people to different experiences in the Italian experience, not only in America but Italian art. I'm particularly interested in what Gina does, in particular the way she brings in people from the local community and gets them to understand more about their heritage. Because unfortunately, although we represent 25 million Italian Americans in the United States, I don't think there's that many of us that know a lot about our heritage. I mean, I have to say that I don't know enough, and I know more than most, and that's not good. We need to recapture our heritage, recapture our identity. And it's because of the work of Casa Belvedere, in conjunction, I hope, with the Italian American Museum in the future, that we'll be able to do more and more of that. I couldn't be more pleased and proud to present her with our Ambassadorial Award. I tried to do it last year and didn't get a chance to do it, but I'm glad I'm getting to do it now. So Gina, if you'll come up,
Thank you, Joe, for the lovely introduction. And I want to especially thank you because I'm not sure if you've ever heard this, but I'm going to say it now. You were definitely one of my mentors, and you met me when I was very young in college. And as you mentioned that other people were your mentors, you were definitely mine. And after all these years, I finally get to thank you. Thank you. I can't believe that it's been 2 years since I've been networking and fundraising and advocating for Casa Belvedere to be the first Italian arts and cultural campus in the country. Basically, that's what I'm looking to do. It's one mansion, but it's on 3 acres. And the long-term vision is not only to renovate the mansion, because the mansion does need a lot of work, but also to build other buildings on the campus and eventually have it become the first Italian arts and cultural campus in the entire country. And I hope that with the help of certain people in this room, people who are just as passionate as I am about the cause, that it's definitely going to happen. You know, I not only hope it, I believe it. I smell it, I taste it, I feel it, I dream about it. So I think it's going to happen. Sooner or later, I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And eventually, it'll become a world-class tourist destination and even a household name. And that's what America is built upon, right? Dreams, visions. And I'm definitely a visionary. And I hope, again, with the help of some great supporters in this room, you know, it'll happen sooner rather than later. I think that in just 2 years that we've been around, people are finally starting to see the vision. They're starting to understand what we're trying to do. And we've really done a great job, again, thanks to my right hand and my left hand over there, Marianne and Lou. We do a great job in marketing and brand awareness. And, you know, plenty of people in the area know what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. And we get so many people at all our events. We have 1 event per week. And we're always sold out or close to sold out. And we know that we're definitely spreading the word. So now that people understand what we're doing, the next question is, and I often get asked this question, why are you doing this? Gina, why are you doing this? What motivated you to do this kind of philanthropy work? Well, there's many reasons that motivate people, right? But after 20 years of being a successful marketing executive at the College Bound Network, I certainly could have retired and been a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 children. And I did. I legitimately gave it a shot. But it did not work for me. You know, I've been juggling so many things and had different pots in the oven my whole life. So I was used to hard work. You know, I've been working since I was 14 years old. I was a co-checker. That was my first job in a restaurant, in a catering hall with my sister and my dad. And we worked throughout high school, throughout college. And then after that, I juggled starting a business and starting a family. And after that, I juggled growing a business to what it is today, and you know, and growing a family and getting a master's and all that stuff. But the point is that I was always someone who liked to do a lot of different things at the same time. And if I don't, you know, I just don't feel like I'm working to my capacity. So I felt like I needed to do something else. And I searched deep down in my soul, and I really tried to examine what the next step was for me. And I realized that the next step was to follow my dream. And there was this little voice in my head that kept saying, follow your dream, follow your dream. Because I tried all these, you know, other things in between temporarily. But the voice kept coming back, follow your dream, follow your dream. And my dream was always to start an Italian Arts and Cultural Center. Since I was 19 years old when I met Joe. And I was the president of the Italian Club at Lehman College and Fieri, and that was always my dream, to promote and preserve the Italian heritage and language, to spread the word, to have the disconnect become a connect between, you know, the generation gap, and the first generation is very connected, and then the second, third, fourth generation becomes less and less connected, but let's bring them back, and let's show them the positive aspects of being Italian. Especially, you know, I don't even want to say it because it reinforces the stereotype when you say it, but you all know what I mean. You know, these kids are not exposed to the positive as much as they should be. And that's really my mission, is even if we can make a small dent and teach the young people, like my children, what it really means to be Italian, and the beautiful heritage and culture that and country that we come from. I think they could emulate all those positive things rather than the negative things that they see depicted by the media. And like I said, even if we make a small dent, it's certainly still a dent, right? My love affair started with Italy when I was very young. And mom and dad, mama and papa, would take us to Italy every summer. And I fell in love with my i zii, cugini, nonni, and the hospitality and the warmth. And, you know, that passion obviously has lasted my whole life. And thanks to my parents who insisted on speaking Italian in the home. You know, I speak Italian, I read Italian, all of that. And even the dialect, which I love so much. So I know the regular, you know, Florentine Italian and the Neapolitan dialect, which I really love. Yeah. But besides the love of the country and the language and the culture and the people, I also felt their pain. You know, I also felt the very poignant and sometimes very painful humility that the immigrants, the Italian immigrants, went through. And although they were going through it, we were going through it with them. So their struggles became our struggles. And I remember clearly certain, you know, really powerful things, impactful things that stay with you your whole life. Like, I must have been 6 or 7, and I remember that forms would go home from school. And mom and dad, you know, didn't know how to read and write English, so they had to go to neighbors to ask them what these forms were. Could you imagine, just take 3 seconds to imagine how humiliating that is? To say, oh, I don't understand this, can you explain it to me? You know, it must have been very humiliating for them. And I remember things like that. If the Con Edison man came to the door and they didn't understand what he wanted or why he was there, and we were 5 or 6 years old and we had to translate for them. You know, these things must have been painful for them to ask their little kids to translate for them. And then I remember one really, really sad, bittersweet story that my dad came home one day from work And he was crying. You know, he would never show it and try to, you know, hold the tears back. But it was clear that he was crying. And I said, Dad, you know, Papa, Papi, we call him. What happened? Forget it, never mind. Non importa. And I said, Dad, you know, Papi, tell me. And he said, come si chiama martello in inglese? And I said, hammer. And then he said, e come si chiama il prosciutto cotto in inglese? And I said, here. And then he said, e come si dice quello là, that guy over there? And I said, him. He said, I don't understand. I say tutto lo stessa cosa. Him. And you know, in hindsight, it's funny, but it's there because his colleagues and his co-workers at work, he worked for the Transit Authority. Actually, he had 2 full-time jobs for 30 years. But his co-workers made fun of him. That he said, hem for everything. And he really, you know, wanted to learn, but you know, he was a certain age or whatever, so we would try to teach him. But then he would say, no, it's okay. Io sono italiano e a casa mia si parla italiano. Right? So even though they made fun of him, not speaking correctly, it was so important for him to keep the language alive. And then there was Mom, who we were declined from, you know, I don't know if there's any Irish people in the room, but we were declined from the Irish parish that was directly across the street from us, literally across the street, Our Lady of Assumption in the Bronx. And we were told that we had to go to St. Teresa's, which was 10 blocks away. And Mom didn't drive. They would not take us. And, you know, she walked us all the way there and all the way back every day to St. Teresa's because OLA declined us. You know, and it's, unfortunately, it's the way of the world, you know, the cycle. At the time, the Irish discriminated against the Italians. Now, unfortunately, the Italians discriminate against other groups. But anyway, it's painful. It was painful for them. I love you, Mom. I love you. So when I accept this today, I really do accept it from my parents, because every award that I receive now for the work that I'm doing for Casa Belvedere is really for them. And when people ask me, why are you doing this? That's why. It's a tribute. Casa Belvedere is a tribute to all the sacrifices that my parents and so many Italian immigrants made to really help build this country. You know, this great city, this great country, which Italians have made such a significant contribution. And, you know, we're on the stage, we're undervalued, and our voice should be heard more. And that's what Casa Belvedere is about. Again, if we even make a small difference to make our voice be heard and to symbolize the work and the effort and the sacrifices that the Italian immigrants made, then I feel like I did my job. Brief story. Very first time Mom and Dad went to Italy was stayed in a hotel in Italy because they always stayed with family. So about 5 years ago, we sent them to a hotel for the first time because they always stayed with, you know, the aunts, the uncles in Italy. And that particular year, I said, Mom, Dad, just go to the hotel. Although they fought about which hotel, because she's from Sano, he's from Mugnano. We had to pick one right in the middle, Mercogliano, and they were happy. But anyway, I remember, very heartwarming story. They had never been in a hotel, things that we take for granted. They were amazed, delighted, they enjoyed every moment. And they called every day to tell us what was going on, every detail, la mozzarella fresca, this and that. And they were so, you know, happy to be there. And No, thank you. Anyway, they called. This is just too cute. Dad called. G, usai negócio. Que, papá? Não te può credere che le successo. Che successo, papà? Ieri sera mi abbiamo arrangiato la riempire il frigorifero e oggi hanno messo nada oltre. So God bless my parents.
Some of you may know the name of Arturo DiModica. Arturo.
Hey.
Arturo has been a friend of the Italian American Museum for quite some time, and thanks to Arthur Piccolo, I mean, who has really been pushing forward everything that he does and that we do. Arturo has been a strong supporter. Give it up, Arturo, please.
Arturo.
Arturo has some special gifts for our two female honorees. But before I mention that, I want to say, I and the Italian American Museum have forged a strong bond with our great Italian American sculptor, my good friend Arturo DiModica. And currently cooperating with Arturo. Some of you came to our gala 2 years ago. I'd ask you to spend $400 tonight. That's why you're here tonight instead. Because usually the gala costs that much money, but thanks to the Jolly, we've been able to do something intimate and I think quite respectable. But Arturo announced 2 years ago that he was going to be creating a sculpture in San Salvador for Christopher Columbus, and the museum is supporting that. So, Arturo, I thank you for that. You'll be hearing more about that in the future. But tonight, Arturo's wonderful generosity never ends, and he has some gifts for our two notable honorees, Laura and Gina. If you'd step forward,
oh my gosh,
please. Michael will unveil them, because the iconic bull that is on Wall Street appropriately will go to Laura.
It is the perfect timing. Thank you very much.
It's heavy, Laura. And I know that Gina is in love with the horse that Arturo has created, and he has a beautiful. Oh, this is heavy. Will entertain us with a few traditional songs, which I think you will all be familiar with. Antonio.
Time
nata notte abbracciato con te. Oh Maria, oh Maria, quando sono che vengo per te, fammi a dormire. Oh Maria, oh sto cuore, a te volo con pensiero, niente voglia, niente spera che tenerti sulla fianca a me. Sii sicura che sta amore, come io sono sicura di te.